Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed viewers and financial enthusiasts, welcome to another riveting episode of The Fizz Show. Today, we have a special treat in store for you. What we have is the Chief Financial Officer of Liquid Intelligent, Mr. Mwendamo Mazaba. My name is Clarence Chongo. I'm your presenter on this episode of The Fizz Show. So welcome to The Fizz Show, welcome to the C.F.O series, and welcome Mr. Mazaba.
Thank you very much, Clarence. It's a pleasure to be here.
Without much ado, I will delve into the first question that I have for you. If you could provide us with an overview of Liquid Intelligent Technologies, their role as a data infrastructure and service provider in the telecoms industry, and how it contributes to the digital transformation landscape in Zambia.
Thank you very much. I think that's a good place to start. And, I'll tell it as a story, as we like to do it at Liquid. But Liquid is really, we see ourselves as a technology company with a proud African heritage. Our vision as a company is a digitally connected future that leaves no African behind. So really what we envision is a future where everyone has got access to these digital technologies and connect right through Africa and the rest of the world. Using our digital infrastructure and intelligent solutions, we've helped to transform not only Zambia, but the continent. And this we've done by empowering individuals, businesses, communities with our high-speed connectivity, which we started off as a business, but also our hosting, co-location, and digital services. The company has evolved over the years and is now providing not just telecom solutions, but a number of technology or digital solutions that makes it easy for people to go about their business or to communicate.
Mm-hmm. How has the telecommunications industry evolved in recent years, and what financial challenges and opportunities have emerged as a result?
Any keen observer would have seen that the technology industry has really evolved over the years, and this is quite evident from Liquid's own transformation. As I said, we started off as a telecoms company, but we now see ourselves as a technology company of global scale that's really proud of our African heritage. Liquid has made significant investments over the years, and this has gone into our network infrastructure, digital services or solutions, as we like to call them, which have really helped to transform not only the Zambian but African landscape digitally. This investment has coincided with a big shift or growth in the demand for connectivity. If you look back, say 5 years ago, what you consume, and even at individual level in terms of connectivity or bandwidth, was really quite small. But it's grown many times over in the last 5 years. And that's really driven by what people can do either in their businesses, in their personal lives, whether it's work, entertainment, and so on, with these new technologies. This growth and investment obviously has come with its challenges. And I think as CFO, it's really finding that balance, striking that balance between your long-term capital needs as well as your capital requirements. So getting that balance right, I think, has been a very good challenge for me as a CFO. Another challenge that we've faced in the sector has been the volatility of the currency. Whether we like it or not, we're exposed to the currency, whether we're importing capacity, importing equipment for our customers, and so on. We have to pay for that in foreign currency.
Yeah.
So managing that has been a challenge. So finding ways to hedge that risk and how you sort of make sure that the business is sustainable.
So as the CFO, how do you ensure financial stability and profitability in an industry known for rapid technological advancements and market disruptions?
Yeah, that's a very good question. It's by the nature of our industry, it's things can be quite disruptive, right? Our industry itself is disruptive in terms of the way it just changes things, the way things are done, and so on. So financial health is not just for technology companies or telecoms companies, but it's key to the success of any organization. As a CFO, one must not just be good at reporting numbers. When you and I started our careers, accountants were known as number crunchers.
Indeed.
But that has really changed in a big way over the years. CFOs are now required to have a very good understanding of the business, a broad understanding of what's happening to the macroeconomy, and really be seen as a trusted business advisor. That helps you to ensure that the company is stable, its future is sustained. So ensuring that is really, some of it is what we'd call the basics. Ensuring that the financial controls are in place, you're complying as an organization.
For the laws and regulations.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we work in a regulated space, so that's really important, whether it's complying with tax laws, whether it's our regulator, ZICTA, so that's really important.
And standards, of course.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. What we refer to as our Bible, the IFRS, International Financial Reporting Standards. So, but also, I think getting your financial structure right is also very important in ensuring that the company is stable. And with automation, technology, that has made a lot of these things easier. Even with our regulators, a lot of submitting of returns, paying of taxes, you can do that online.
Yes.
So that has helped.
So how does your role as the CFO contribute to the digital transformation journey, and what financial strategies do you employ to align with technological advancements and customer demands?
Right. Another good question. So, digital transformation as a journey has entailed for us, and I think as a industry at the broader level, that we make significant investment. Right. So, either be it into growing our network infrastructure, bringing in new equipment, developing new products and services.
So it's capital heavy.
Absolutely, it's capital heavy.
Yeah.
It's a capital intensive industry. So that requires that you invest in your money smartly. Internally, we've got a very strong process around that, and that includes ensuring that for any significant investment or monies that we spend, it must be backed up by a strong business case. So that sort of forces you to go through the process.
In the telecommunications and data services sector, capital investments, as you've just outlined, plays a critical role. Can you discuss how you manage capital allocation decisions and how you balance long-term investments with short-term financial performance?
Yeah, as I said, so especially until the recent transition, right? Because we're a telecoms company and then transitioned or evolved into a technology company. So even as a telecoms company, we're very capital intensive. So, and it wouldn't be wrong to see us as an infrastructure company. So because we invest heavily into infrastructure, whether it's a data center, network, and so on. So it is really, really important that one gets the capital allocation right.
Correct,
and as I said, so we go through quite a rigorous budgeting process to ensure that our capital is invested in the right places. So we need to ensure that there's a strong business case backing up an investment that goes through the whole governance process, and also just getting it right. So what we tend to do is for a long-term project, we match that with duration of our funding as well. So what you don't want is it's a long-term project, try and match that with long-term finance. And then your short-term requirements, again, make sure that you have sufficient working capital to fund that.
And now you know very well, because you operate in that space, there's an increasing importance of cyber security. Thankfully in Zambia, I haven't heard of many cases of hijacking, ransom operations, etc. But still, cybersecurity and data are important. How do you approach the financial risk management and ensure the integrity and security of customer data and financial systems at Liquid Intelligent Technologies?
I mean, you're right. That's indeed something that's very topical and relevant. So, as technology evolves, new technologies emerge, so are criminals. So
Indeed.
Criminals are evolving, acquiring new skills,
and becoming more
as
clever.
Well. So it's not just about people no longer just using guns and other things to rob. They're using technology to carry out some of the bad things, right? So this is indeed a challenge. And if you recall, a few years ago, the government passed a Cybersecurity Act, so which sort of helps with that. But I think what's important is that companies, individuals protect their systems and protect their data. Mm-hmm. Even your phone or your tablet is a system, right? You need to protect that. Mm-hmm. And some of it is doing the basic stuff like, setting a password. But also the right practice around that. So as Liquid, we've put in place several measures to limit access to our system, because obviously that's the starting point. Customer data, personal data is in our systems. So we need to control that. So there are a number of things that we've done to limit access, whether it's physical controls, password controls, but also the most basic things like making sure that our staff are aware, because even the most sophisticated criminal, right, they'll need a way into your system. And sometimes it's done through our staff, sometimes knowingly and unknowingly. So, by opening a link.
Clickbait.
Yes, it could be a phishing email. Before you know it, someone has got into your system and they start doing stuff. But also, a few months ago, we launched the first, what you call CSOC, or Cybersecurity Fusion Center, in the country. A lot of that has generated a lot of interest. This will help our customers sort of gain real-time access to threats to their systems. So we've had a lot of customers coming in to inquire about that. But that's one of the measures we've put in as a service to our customers to help them sort of counter this cybersecurity threat.
Now, as a company, Liquid Intelligent Technologies operates in multiple countries across Africa. How do you navigate the complexities of financial regulations, tax compliance issues, currency fluctuations in different markets?
I think the starting point is our mindset as a corporate. So wherever we operate, we want to be a good corporate citizen. So our intention, our plan is always to comply with local laws and regulations. So that's the start point. But also then you have to sort of then put in measures to ensure that the company is compliant. And thankfully, because of technology, as I alluded to earlier, it's made it a lot easier, right? So we can submit our regulatory returns online. You no longer have to physically go to a regulator, even paying taxes. You don't have to go there. You don't have to write a check. You can do a lot of that stuff online. So we're taking advantage of technologies to help us ensure that we're compliant. And as CFO, I need to take the lead. So part of that is automating as much of our processes as possible. More recently, we've, for instance, gone cashless in our stores, but also provided a number of channels where our customers can make payments from. So that's all part of making things efficient. Taking advantage of the latest technologies.
Okay, so now I'm sure you know there are some young aspiring accountants out there who wish to rise up and raise their game to the CFO level. So perhaps it would be helpful if you could share some insights into your approaches to financial planning, your financial forecasting and budgeting process, consideration the dynamic nature of the telecoms industry and evolving customer demands. So how do you go about that financial planning aspect of your role?
Sure. I mean, financial planning and analysis is one of the key functions within finance. The way I go about it and the way we go about it as an organization is firstly to understand the macros. Right, so the company doesn't operate in a vacuum. So it's very important and critical in terms of producing an accurate forecast or plan or budget, that you understand the environment that the company is in. So things as basic as understanding the GDP, inflation, exchange rate. So this is looking at where they are now, but also what the forecast is, because obviously that's going to impact the business one way or the other. So once we get an understanding of that, the next stage is stakeholder engagement. So both internal and external stakeholders. It's important for me to engage, for instance, with the CFO, with other executives, but other staff within the business, to try and establish what the plans are going forward, right? So because you don't want a budget or plan or focus to just be a finance process. It has to be a business-wide process, and that's taken into account all the relevant factors. So once that stakeholder engagement has been done, we then establish what we call drivers. So what's driving our numbers, whether it's a forecast, whether it's a plan, and so on. So for any business, for instance, you want to know what are your growth plans? How much do you plan to sell? At what price? You know, how much can you increase by? How does FX or the exchange rate affect your plans? All those things. So once we've got that, we have a number of tools or systems within the organization, and we have a planning tool. So once we've established those factors, we capture those drivers into our planning tool, and that generates numbers, and then we go through a series of engagements with both internal stakeholders, but also our shareholders and so on, to agree on what the final
the direction
is. Yes.
Now, taking a little bit of an in-depth look at the some of your technological operations, how does Liquid Intelligent Technologies leverage data analytics and financial insights into to drive operational efficiency? If you could showcase how you identify growth opportunities and improve decision making within the organization.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's that's a great question, and I think it's now accepted. You know, before people would say, you know, mineral resources and so on is your biggest assets and so on. But one of the biggest things or access that someone can have is data, and that liquid data drives decision making, right? So we hardly make any decisions without considering data, which obviously must be processed into information, right? So really that drives our decision making, and it's important that we collect and process the data correctly. So we need to correct the right data, whether it's macros or micros, you know, things that are internal to the organization. And once we do that, obviously using our systems and so on, we then are confident that we can come up with, you cannot predict the future, but you can at least plan to achieve a certain outcome, and hopefully you don't land too far from what you've planned.
So you've obviously seen me keep making reference to aspiring CFOs, because part of this entire exercise is we want to motivate the community out there to begin to love accounting, to show them that we're not boring accountants as the saying usually goes. So aspiring CFOs often seek guidance on the unique challenges and skills required in the technology sector. Based on your experience, what are some of the key attributes and competencies that make a successful CFO in the telecommunications and data services industry?
Some of it is, someone said, what's the difference between a good CFO and great CFO? Mm-hmm. So, for a good CFO, you have to at least get the basics, mm-hmm. right? So, it's maybe no longer that comparison, but at least have the technical competence. Mm-hmm. So it's a given that, if you want to be a CFO, have the technical competence, So go study your stuff, qualified as a chartered accountant.
Entry, for example.
No, double entry, things, your debit and credit, things as basic as that. Yeah. But also understand the financial reporting standards and so on, your systems. So have that. So that's a given, mm-hmm. right? But I think to be then, and then that will allow you, for instance, to do your reports on time, produce accurate reports, and so on. So that's a good CFO. But I think to be a great CFO, then you must also be a very good business leader, mm-hmm. right? So, and that entails, number one, having a very good understanding of the business. Mm-hmm. How can you be a good business partner if you don't understand the business? Mm-hmm. So beyond the numbers, have a very good understanding of the business. Mm-hmm. So I'd encourage anyone aspiring to be one to develop that very good understanding of the business, but then also have a good understanding of the environment, mm-hmm. the macros, the micros. So, constantly read and watch business channels, mm-hmm.
Be in the know. Like the Fizz show.
Absolutely, like this. It's a very good initiative. Absolutely. So, that will empower you or equip you with the skills to be a good business partner. Indeed. So people are not just wanting someone to report historical performance, but they're looking for someone that will give them insights, strategic advice. So I see my role really as a trusted advisor mm-hmm. to the CEO and other executives Indeed. In the business.
That is a powerful insight for people out there who are aspiring to become CFOs like our guest here. Liquid Intelligent Technologies has been at the forefront of innovation in the industry. Can you share a specific case study maybe, or a success story, some anecdote where financial strategies or initiatives contributed to significant growth or a competitive advantage for Liquid Intelligent Technologies?
So some of the, there'll be a number, but a lot of what we do, you can't, technology by its nature will sort of tend to be ahead of time, mm-hmm. right? So opportunities would tend to, because by the time you see them, maybe then everyone else is taking advantage mm-hmm. of that. So if you're going to take full benefit out of that as a business, it's important that we realize those opportunities quite early. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges for a CFO operating in the technology space. So being in tune with what's happening in the business, okay. right? So understanding that some of the financial benefit will come a few years down the line. So you make the investment now, mm-hmm. but the benefit comes later. Mm-hmm. And it's not very apparent at the time. So, for instance, the last few years, we launched, the company made quite a big change in direction and invested into a new service line that moved away from just being telecoms and mm-hmm. Player. So that required us to sort of invest quite a bit of money, not just in terms of developing the products, equipment, and so on, but also into staff, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. Hiring staff, knowing that, you're not going to generate the sales now. Yeah. A lot of it's going to come a bit later on. But once we made that investment, the financial benefits, have started coming in. They started coming through. So I think it's because the immediate reaction might be, we're making money, let's stick to what we're doing, what we're good at. Yeah. but you might end up becoming redundant like other companies have. So I think it's sort of anticipating or being in tune with where the business is going and making sure that you're supporting that process as CFO by making investments, right, smart investments. So I think that's been one of the things that we've contributed as a finance function. The other is obviously, as I mentioned earlier, our local currency is quite volatile, so that requires that we manage that. So putting in place some sort of hedging techniques. We've had to, for instance, when we began to see the currency volatility, we had to convert our foreign currency debt into local currency to manage that risk. So, and those decisions have helped put the company in a position where it can continue on a growth trajectory.
Indeed. So we've come to the last question of this episode. So this is where now I would like for you to perhaps look ahead and tell us what you see as some of the emerging trends and opportunities that you see in the telecommunications and data service sector, and how do you plan to capitalize on them from a financial perspective?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite clear. Thanks for that very good question. It's quite clear to us what the next big thing is, and
Indeed.
I think to a number of people out there. So AI is a big thing.
Indeed.
Artificial intelligence. I think it's going to change a lot in terms of what we do, how we live our lives.
We've got ChatGPT.
Absolutely.
Bard.
Yes. So how do you deal with that? So, with ChatGPT, for example, there's a lot that you can do with it, right? But
indeed.
you have to use some of these technologies ethically, right? So I think that's AI is definitely the next big thing, plus the associated technologies. I think that's going to bring about a lot of change in terms of the way we do things. At the moment, you can have a surgeon working out of, for instance, in Europe, but assisting with the surgery in Africa, or a surgeon in Africa assisting with surgery elsewhere in another part of the world in real time. Right? So, but also a lot of the things, and this is particularly relevant to professions like accountants, right? A lot of the things that we do manually will be automated going forward. Even things that you think might not be. Things like financial commentary on your results and so on. You putting together your business plans. A lot of that is going to be absolutely. Even preparing financial statements. It's when I started my career, it used to be a very sort of tedious process that took weeks to complete. But obviously, it takes a lot shorter now. But you can imagine we might get a position where you can produce these financial statements on a daily or quite regular basis without going through this tedious process, and then investors, other stakeholders get a real-time understanding of what's happening in the business. So I think that's definitely going to be is the next big thing. Obviously, as a business in the technology space, we see a lot of opportunities around that. In the business, we're doing a lot of automation of processes, just to make ourselves more efficient in the way we operate. From a financial perspective, or as a CFO, right, it's, I guess, recognizing that there's this opportunity, and how does the company take advantage of that? Where do we invest our money, right? So some of the things that might be successful now in terms of products and services are likely to be in the future. So it's now recognizing what we need to put our money in. I think that's going to be very important going forward.
Maybe a quick throw-in question. Do you, as Liquid Intelligent Technologies, intend to patent or develop IP, intellectual property, around AI in Zambia or in Africa?
All I can say is watch the space.
That's a very telling answer. So we will be watching this space to see what AI, liquid intelligent technologies might develop for us in the future. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Mazaba. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly.
Yes, no, you've got it right.
And it's been a pleasure to talk to you on this FIS show, CFO series. And the audience has gained and garnered a lot of insights that have been quite eye-opening. And I believe that you've probably motivated a few youngsters out there to take the next step and aspire to be in your seat and be CFO of a major organization. Thank you very much, Mr. Mazaba.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chongo, for having me here. It's been a pleasure. I think I've enjoyed the conversation. And
Indeed.
yeah, a very good initiative by FIDS, and
Indeed.
I wish you all the best.
Okay, so there you are. That was the Liquid Intelligent Technologies episode of the FIS show on the CFO series. I've been Clarence Chongo. Thank you very much. See you next time.